Oh, hello, and welcome to Dente Rigamortis. I'm Review Cultist.
I'm Mikey, the E stands for evil.
And I'm the gamer in yellow.
And we're here to discuss those internet stories, most creepy and most pasta, and be critically silly doing it. Tonight we have Joe the Creep. So, Joe the Creep is on creepypasta.wiki. I think you can also find it on creepypasta.com. But it
He
is by...
specifically is? He specifically is.
Yeah,
Joe the Creep.
He's creeping around, yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
So be careful when you're checking out the wiki.
So be good, for goodness sake. Whoa, somebody's creeping. It's a Ghostbusters reference.
Ah.
Anyway.
Hilarity.
Yes.
Sorry, I missed it.
That you inadvertently did a Ghostbusters reference.
Did I?
Sorry, I missed it.
Oh, cool. I'm so smart.
When the ghost train hits Winston and goes through him, and it's like, they rescue him. It's like, that must have been the ghost train. Killed, it had a crash back in 1885. Killed hundreds of people. Did you get the number of the train? I was like, sorry, I missed it.
Nice.
Anyway.
So it's probably bad when you're like, that's when Winston did this thing, and I'm just imagining a giant genetically altered ape in a spacesuit with a lightning gun. I probably should have said that while you were drinking.
Oh,
are you okay?
Oh, I almost inhaled that. Oh.
Need a little bit of recovery time here.
Ooh.
I'm sorry. That's for my random Overwatch reference.
I mean, I wouldn't. As soon as you said that, I was like, of course you would go with the gaming reference. Oh,
he's that sort of thing in yellow. Sorry.
Alright, anyways. Did I spill my coffee? No, not quite. No, you're good. I was like, must. Anyway, alright, so it's on creepypasta.wiki. It's by WriterJosh. That's one word, except with the capital J.
So he's a writer.
Yes.
WriterJosh is a writer.
Yes.
So WriterJosh writes.
Yes.
Cool. Just making sure. Just clarify.
Yep. And so I guess we'll go into the rundown. Basically, our narrator, who we're never going to name, or an age.
His name is Narrator Man.
Except that he's between the ages of 60 and, high school age. Or late high, or, early, 20s or something like that, because...
Well, essentially, yeah.
Because Mike, his coworker...
He stands for evil.
He is pretty evil in this story, by the way.
Yeah.
Mike is, 20-something because he's barely he's just out of high school or something.
He's probably 30s or 40s, not Mike, but Narrator Man.
Yeah, Narrator Man.
Yeah, because he's talking...
Jerry is in his 60s. He's the older guy at the school.
Yeah, because he essentially talks about Jerry like he's an old fart, and he talks about Mike like he's a young kid, so he's somewhere in between.
But our narrator guy, Steve, Spooky Steve, we'll call him that for now.
Oh.
What?
I said, oh.
Okay.
Because now he's a Narrator Man.
Whatever, it doesn't matter. Narrator Man, Spooky Steve, it's the same thing. It's a placer for
I
the
can't
name.
help but notice that they're different words. They're not the same thing.
Semantics. Anyway.
Oh, okay.
So, already getting into this. Okay.
Yeah. I'll audio Nazi you immediately.
How dare you? He's not got a very good, track record for jobs. He's not educated enough to get anything, decent work paying. But he does land this sweet, easy... Oh, God, the ghost is back.
Should I be terrified?
Yes.
Okay. Ah.
Okay, I think it's quiet. I think the demon has left. Yes. The niece cultist has been quelled for now. Anyway, so narrator man, Spooky Steve, whoever, can't really get a good job because of his education. Just can't get him a good, high paying job. But he lands a sweet gig as essentially a security guard for a
watchman.
A night watchman, basically. Yeah, night security for a an office building, 3 stories plus a basement.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sweet. It's easygoing and like pretty decent like setup. Like he basically just like sits there, watches the monitors, checks each floor on the hour.
Yeah, his rounds.
Yeah, and just puts in like AC for all clear every for every floor and stuff. The older guy, Jerry, is there during the day and gets done at like 12. But then for like his first hour, he hangs out with Mike, who's like the younger guy, and he's basically like there with Jerry for most of his shift until like 1 o'clock. And then our narrator guy is there from like 12 till 8 o'clock. And then he opens up the door for the morning guy.
Yeah.
So pretty easy gig. He's been doing it for 3 months. And then over that time, though, the first little bit, they started like, there's this in-joke kind of thing that keeps getting mentioned. Like whenever he's like late or something, they're like, oh man, I thought Joe the Creep had gotten you or something. And at some point, he just, like the the needle breaks the camel's back, as he says, I think in the story, where it's mentioned, Joe the Creep is mentioned again, and he's like, dude, who's Joe the Creep? You've never mentioned it. And I was like, what, really? I thought I mentioned it like the first day. It's like, no, you haven't, so let me know what this all about is. I need some exposition about what the story is about. And it turns out that there's this, like back in the 80s, there was this really creepy, Joe guy, Joe Blow.
Yeah.
No, there's this creepy guy, who like mumbled a lot, kept to himself, and had like a notebook that he wrote in and stuff like that.
Yeah, you worked there previously. I think in the 70s or 80s, I think he said.
Yeah, yeah, he's actually not he wasn't quite sure.
Yeah. He like always stared at the ground and didn't really talk to anyone.
Yeah, until like
by himself.
Until at some point like something happened and then he started just
He constantly took notes in a notebook.
Yeah.
And then he dropped it at one point in an elevator.
Yeah, and a woman that was sharing the elevator saw what was inside and went to HR, and he was basically like chastised and yelled at for it.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And from that moment on, he would just stare at people, like glare at them until when they weren't looking, and then when they'd look at him, he'd like shirk back or something like that. And then this all kind of culminated to the point where in the copying room, somebody like screamed because he was behind the cabinet staring at them, and then like he actually hissed at them when they saw him staring back at him. Yeah. So he was basically fired on the spot, but said he had to go get some things from the basement, and the job it was a simpler time in businesses where they actually didn't escort people down like from point A to point B to the exit. Yeah. And so like they let him go downstairs into the basement alone, and then a guard was at the door, but that's the whole time. Yeah. And then after a while, he wasn't coming back up. They went down and they found that he'd hung himself by a belt. Mm. And that's basically basically his ghost haunts the place kind of thing. It was like kind of the urban legend of the guards, because Jerry was actually there at the time. Yeah. And so after telling him this creepy story, this ghost story, they're like, all right, bye. Yeah. This is haunted. Yeah, so this place is actually haunted, but this creepy guy goes, bye. And then,
they go back inside for 10 minutes or something, not even talking.
Oh, no, yeah, there's also a rhyme. Apparently there was part of the legend is that, to invoke Joe the Creep, you have to, go up to the stairs and, give a rhyme. I think I should have the rhyme in my notes. Yes, here it is. Joe the Creep, who died in the deep. I'm coming downstairs, so don't make a peep. You basically supposed to say that at the top of the stairs, and then, Joe will be invoked, or yes. Mm-hmm. And the guy, so this guy, he's like, oh, you don't really believe in this stuff. And then, kind of, everything gets kind of serious and dark, and,
yeah, Jerry, doesn't really
yeah, I've
answer.
never done it before, because it's I don't touch that hoodoo stuff. Mm-hmm. So it goes, they go away. Mike also is being a dick, and, egging narrator guy on a little bit about being a chicken, because he wasn't, you want to do it? You want to do it? Do you want to go to the stairs and say the rhyme? It's like, no, I'm not doing that. You're fucking stupid.
Yeah, through all this, it's mentioned that Mike is, lazy and he barely does his rounds. But this one day, he's excited
On
to go
top
do his
of it.
rounds. He's like, let's go do it. It's like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
Like, let's do the basement first for something different. Oh,
Asshole. And then he's like, yeah, Mike, you gotta say it. It's like, no, I'm not fucking saying it. It's stupid. And then Mike says it.
Mike's like, well, if you don't say it, I'll say it, and then you have to see whether or not you want to do your job and check the basement. So
Yeah,
he just
exactly.
immediately turns over to the door and says it.
Yeah, and then he's
He's
like,
like,
fucking asshole.
My job's done here.
Yeah, he's like,
See ya.
basically, yeah. And yeah, he's just like called an asshole by narrator guy.
Mm-hmm. Spook Steve.
Spook Steve, yeah.
Yeah, they correct you both
You
ways.
have Matt from the Drunk and the Ugly for Spook
Oh,
Steve.
I know. I like the name.
You just love also bugging me.
Well, I like Narratorman.
Alright, fair enough. Okay.
That's what I've been calling him.
Okay, whatever. Edit all this out.
Leave all this in.
And then, yeah, so Mike goes away, and then he does his rounds, but he is actually, I think he does avoid the basement for a little bit until he decides to do it.
Yeah, like he does his normal rounds, so like main floor, first floor, second floor, third, and then...
And then he's like, fine, I guess I gotta do the basement.
Yeah.
So he goes down to the basement and finds this, like, just as he's like moving through the rounds, he's like, thinks he sees movement, or sees a book that he never noticed before on one of the shelves.
Yeah.
And checks that. And it's basically like, it's the notebook that Joe, presumably Joe had used. And like some of this, and he like comments like, I wouldn't call it HR, I would call costs. Like this is basically like Bill, like I can't remember the exact character.
Yeah, it's like essentially like Bill
so and so
pushed me and didn't apologize or something.
Pushed me to apologize, and like and just had like a behead, like his face like beheaded, or it's like, or so and so like took my parking spot and didn't apologize and just like running her down, kind of thing like that. Yeah, like just. Like,
I don't think it went to those extents.
It was pretty close.
It was just like very strange pictures.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And someone took all the forks. The nerve of them.
Yeah,
yeah,
for the birthday cake.
Yeah.
Because
they grabbed all the forks to distribute them to everyone in the office,
Except
and
for
he
Dick.
just happened to be sitting on the edge, waiting for the last one. It's like, oh no, I should have grabbed one more.
Yeah, but nobody.
No.
Yeah, just minor grievances and slights.
Yep.
Yeah.
And this guy wants to kill these people, or basically just troubled person.
Yeah.
And then he notices this like smell, and then the smell becomes worse and becomes like a fetid, rotted corpse.
Mm-hmm.
And then he sees like these maddening eyes behind the through the shelving in the next aisle, and it like starts slopping like moving around the aisle. And it's at this point that, like, rather than be, like, frozen there and wait for the thing to turn around, he's like, nope, and just fucking bugs out, runs up the stairs, locks the door, and stays in the monitor room for the rest of the night. And just puts all clear, like, doesn't even bother
like
to-
shaky writing, because he's actually terrified right now.
Yeah, and then as he's basically, like, leaving, Jerry shows up, and to apologize, because they were planning on doing a joke for him. And he's like, are you fucking serious? You fucking laid out, it's like, what, you put up, like, some kind of, like, weird, like, mask or something like that? It's like, what are you talking about, man? Like, we tried to get in from the back, but the door wouldn't open. And that was when Jerry was just like, yeah, we were never inside the room. We were never inside the building. We were trying to play a joke on you, but it never worked. And that's when Narrator Man just hands him the card and just walks and never comes back.
Yeah.
And that was the story. So, yeah. So we'll go into Everyone Expects the Grand Inquisition at this point.
It is a staple of the show.
Yes. Mike was younger than me. Didn't even look like he's been out of high school for very long. Present tense or past tense versus present tense. It should be. It didn't even look like he'd been out of high school very long. I think that was the only time I noticed that the tense was issue.
Or do you mean the issue is tense?
The issue was tense, yes.
That can be taken multiple ways.
Yeah. The next one is every hour on the hour, a full circuit for each floor and the basement was necessary, and I was to mark on the sheet that I had done so, and put an AC for all clear next to my name, unless I found something out of the ordinary, which rarely happened. That is all commas. Like, every hour, comma, on the hour, comma, a full circuit of each floor, comma, and the basement, comma, was necessary, comma, and I was to mark on the sheet that I had done so, comma, and put an AC for all clear next to my name, comma, unless I found something out of the ordinary, comma, which rarely happened, period.
Comma period.
A bit of a run-on sentence.
Yeah.
Also, super nitpick here. You use the initials AC, like capital AC, but then don't capitalize the words they represent immediately after all clear.
Would you have to?
I just feel like you maybe should, but yeah, it's kind of a nitpick. I'm not sure if it actually is, but like when I read it, I was like, I would have put like all clear just to get that point across that AC means all clear.
Did you have a hard time understanding it the first read through?
No, but it did like
Mikey,
tickle me.
did you have a hard time understanding it the first read through?
No, but I can see where Review Cultist is going. with
Gamer,
this.
did you notice a hard time the first way through? Thanks, Gamer. I don't know. No.
Like I said, it was a nitpick.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Well, it's just to accentuate
Yeah.
that AC, because otherwise, like air conditioning?
Yeah.
Air conditioned.
Yeah, just make sure each room is air conditioned.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, if they did that, would it turn into a different type of grammar issue for us to bring up?
No, it's just like, but it's
No?
just like a little thing. Like again, like I'm not saying this is like ruin the whole story.
Totally ruined. I hate it now.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying like
Yeah.
like just to accentuate the whole like that like AC represents
Yeah.
clear. But yeah, anyway. Next one is Jerry was telling a ribald joke. Mike was laughing and Hawking spit between each puff, and both greeted me like always when I walked up to the smoking area. Ribald, adjective, referring to sexual matters in an amusingly rude and irreverent way. I learned a new word today.
Yay! I meant to look that up, but I forgot.
Followed by another quote. A schlep that sounded wet and rubbery. Schlep, verb. Number 1. Haul or carry. Something heavy or awkward. Noun. 1. A tedious or difficult journey. 2. Another term for schlepper. I learned another word today.
So, does it actually fit the sentence?
Yeah, because it's like this. Like basically, it's like moving. Like it's like awkwardly moving.
Because it's to carry something awkwardly.
It's
It's
carrying
carrying
itself,
itself
yeah.
awkwardly.
Yeah.
It's schlepping.
Mm-hmm.
So it's schlep?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Or like a tedious or difficult journey because it's like.
It works for both,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah.
So it's almost like it's a perfect word.
Yeah. I've never heard before.
Oh,
so
I know. I
was
haven't either. Like, it's awesome.
Not all of my grammar inquisitions are like bad things.
Oh, I know that. I love learning new words.
But that's all I've got for grammar Nazi or inquisitions and Nazisms and whatever we call them nowadays.
Yeah.
Indiscrepancies.
Discrepancies.
Alright.
Yes.
And mine starts with a sentence that begins with and.
Okay.
And then there was the time I scored a position as a night watchman at a local office complex.
Yeah, you really could just go with then there was.
Yeah.
Because then is basically an and in that instance.
Yeah.
Appropriate.
Front ands and front butts are generally the same sort of discrepancy where it's just like, it's not necessary.
Yeah, they're basically...
You get the same
like,
point across without that word.
I feel like I've been thinking about it. Like I feel like they're basically just ums and us.
Yeah.
And they're basically the word that you put in that because like you're like trying to think of what to say.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, my next sentence. So.
That's an entire sentence.
Yep. It has a period.
Can we get the context of the rest of the things around it, or no?
No, I didn't write that in my notes.
Wow.
But, I mean, you don't need it, because, I mean...
I just no. Like I would like context about that. Like where, like why that was just done.
I'll Control F so and find it. Shit. There are 85 so's. Ah!
Then I start going through them because only one of them is going to be a single sentence.
You don't roughly remember where it was at all?
Probably midway through.
Cool. Ah, found it.
Cool. All right. So what is it?
So when they're talking about Joe the Creep, essentially.
Yeah.
And he's saying, "Oh, I wish if I had told you on the first day." A little bit later, a couple of sentences later, it's like Mike smirked and said, "Old Joe the Creep died in his sleep. Jerry told me about him. I never met the guy personally, so he was a real person." this was an interesting turn.
Okay, yeah, that
So
really-
essentially that so should literally just be a comma.
Yeah, or a ... Like, so, ... he was
Yes.
a real person. Yeah.
His period key is like sticky, so he can only do periods.
Or so,
can't
he
repeat
was
it.
a real person. Yeah, like capital, like, all caps on once.
Oh, yeah. That's
Like, he was a real person. Like,
What?
he wasn't just a legend, or he wasn't just like a stupid ghost story somebody tells.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's not just I'll just put so here for no reason.
Yeah, exactly. There is a reason for it, but it does need to be corrected that way.
Yes.
Alright, next one is a misspelled word.
Okay.
Sure, all old buildings had legends, but this one was just pure hoakum. Supposed to be hokum.
Oh, okay. I honestly, I saw that word. I was like, I guess that's just a slang for like hokiness or hokum, or something like that, like or some other.
Don't pull me and just assume
I
things
just
like that.
know, like legitimately, like I saw that. I remember seeing that. I was like, oh, I guess that's just how like that's said somewhere. But no, it isn't. It's just
No, it's Hokum is the word, but they spelled it Hoakum.
Okay,
So there's an extra A.
fair enough.
So the next one is it's a sentence that begins with but really all they had to do was get rid of the period beforehand, and it would work
As a sentence, yeah, as a full
as a continuation of the sentence.
Okay.
Not even with a comma or anything.
Well, comma maybe.
Either way.
So, up until that moment, it had all seemed like an amusing story, but Gary's reaction was real.
Yeah.
It's
Yep. Just comma, and you got that.
Yep.
I can see the mistake why you would want to like add a period there to have try like the mistake of just wanting to like accentuate that, but his response to this legend that doesn't exist was real. Like this person believed this thing.
Commas
But
do
it's-
accentuate things, though.
Yeah, no, yeah, exactly. But like
Yeah.
the way it,
If it's
I can
all
understand-
typed out without a comma, then yeah, it's one sentence. But if it's separated, it's like
yeah, but a lot of people, at least I find a lot of writers, or like even myself sometimes, like I'll put a period in to like leave that first sentence, that first like thing off, and then like have a shorter thing to like kind of trying to accentuate or to like emphasize the importance of that last statement.
But each statement should be its own kind of
Yeah,
statement.
and that's the mistake that you make doing that. Like you either do like ... or a comma or something like that. You don't do like a period is supposed to be more final.
Yes, essentially to move on to a different thought process, or to continue in a different way.
Yeah, unless you're doing thought processes, like narrating thought process, because those are broken up into separate sentences, like very short sentences
Sure.
in stories and stuff like that.
Okay.
Generally.
next one is a front butt.
Love seeing those front butts.
Departo.
But somehow, the image of being watched through a crack in filing cabinets of a crazy man hissing as I spot him stayed with me. So,
I feel like that could be rewritten a little bit as well.
Yeah,
That's just a little
kind of-
long-winded.
Yeah,
another front butt, but I wasn't listening.
I wasn't listening. Yeah.
And then front end. And I was now completely alone.
Yeah.
I mean, in that case, I was now completely alone actually is more intense if you go to the end.
Yeah. And again, that would work if the previous sentence isn't super long and just continue it.
See, I like how we criticize the front ends and front butts, but we in our conversation here, and I'm sure our listeners have probably heard it. We've all said butts and ands at the very beginning to start off a question, but that is, or to start off a conversation, but that is also dialogue.
Yeah, we're all dialogue here, so we're fine.
I don't know if you want to audio bounce that. No.
Yeah, it's fine.
Alright, and that's the end of my grammar inquisition. Game in yellow.
Alright. That's the end of my grammar-related discrepancies. I actually didn't write any down.
Fair enough.
You monster.
I mean, it wasn't
Thanks.
that bad, but like, yeah. I mean, there were definitely some inquisitions, some Nazisms, and some.
Essentially, it's just like there were weird words that I knew you were going to look up, and there were front butts and,
That you knew he'd
and
look
front
up.
ends that I knew you would look up. So I'm
That's fair.
like, why would I write them down if I'm just going to be checking them off anyway?
That's fair, yeah. All right, so
Isn't that part of the fun? Checking things off? Like, and then being like, I got one.
Your lizard brain, man. You gotta think about your lizard brain and whatever the chemicals that your brain is getting from like that gives you joy for like checking off things.
Yeah, no, that doesn't work with me.
Okay. You're not a completionist then.
Moving on.
All right. So on to actual thoughts. There wasn't much to the night watchman job. The building is 3 floors and a basement, most of which is viewable from a bank of monitors in a back room. The building's in a pretty quiet area of town, and there's nothing in it to steal. So really, I discovered on my first shift that this was a pretty low-key sort of job. It was like that Fazbear gig my cousin had.
I was just gonna say that. That's what my course.
First thing that came up to mind was just like, it's the Five Nights at Freddy's before Five Nights at Freddy's, because I'm pretty sure this is like was made like written like a couple of years ago before the Fazbear stuff, but. It's it's still like because of today's like society and and internet culture and horror culture. Five Nights at Freddy's rang true for that statement.
Yeah, as soon as he said night watchman job, I'm like, okay, this
with a bank of monitors in the back room. I was like, and he's just sitting there. It's like, all right, so he's that guy. He's the purple man from Five Nights at Freddy's.
Is it clarified that he is the purple guy?
Actually, it's hard to tell. I think the guy on the phone is supposed to be the purple guy, but
we should not delve into
we should not delve into the lore lest we unleash some horrible like curse upon ourselves.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else to say? Do you have anything to say about that?
No.
Okay.
Other than the author said it's not like Five Nights at Freddy's. It was not his intention.
He said that? Oh, he actually said it in the comments?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I know. I guess I figured it wasn't. It's just like, again, like today's society. Like, that's
like
my reference
reading over the entire thing, it is not like Five Nights.
No, not at all.
It's literally just at the start where he's like, night watchman looking at monitors. It's immediately putting Five Nights in my head.
Honestly.
But it immediately broke from that.
I'm not going to lie. This honestly felt like a story that I've heard at work.
Yeah.
At my actual job. Like, of ghost stories. Because, like, our building was originally another building. And there was a story or a rumor that somebody had died there.
Oh, that's nice.
Hence why, the doors seem to sound like they open when they're really not opening at all. Or I hear keyboards typing in a couple of cubicles down at 2 o'clock in the morning.
And no one else is there.
Yeah. It's kind of creepy. But yeah, like we tell those, like, it's very much like one of those stories that you tell, like, somebody at work.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway.
So are you Jerry, narrator man, or Mike?
I think I'm probably narrator man. Because
that means you're going to get
Jerry's my the other guy that works the night shift at my like at work.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't really think. Well, we used to have a mic, but
it's going to be a term now for anyone who's a
He actually moved to another building, like miles, like hours away.
Mm-hmm.
Like he actually moved to another like location.
Gotcha.
But yeah, he was
yourself of the mic.
Yeah, actually, yeah. And I'm not going to go into this. It's a little too personal for work. So yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, moving on. Don't tell me, Joe the Creep haunts the basement to this very day. Well, that's part of the silly part. Oh, okay. I was like, that part's. Okay, that's what he said. Okay, sorry. Well, that part's the silly part, said Jerry. See, there was a rumor that he had stashed that notebook down there. And that was what he was going down to get. But for some reason, he decided to hang himself instead. And wow, yeah, those are two front butts and front ends. And just like like any story, it's sort of grown since then. Now there's even a rhyme you're not supposed to say. I kind of want there to be a version of the story where Joe didn't just kill himself like everybody thought. Like, he went down there to get his stuff from the basement, and rather than have him, like, decide to just hang himself, there was another thing down in the basement that did him in. Or the security guard / Jerry secretly did it and covered it up as a suicide. So, it's either something dwells in the building that isn't actually Joe, but everybody thinks that's just part of the legend and stuff like that, or Joe's more of a vengeful spirit. In the story.
I like how you went both the super mundane option and the fantastical option with this. You did both.
Yeah. Well, it's just like I think it even mentions like I don't know, like I didn't think he had a. I can't remember. I honestly cannot remember if it's in this story or if it's something I had heard yesterday. But like it's weird that he like I didn't think he had a belt to hang himself, but I guess he did.
I don't think that was mentioned.
Is that mentioned? Because, like, I remember, I don't know if I heard that from
Making me
somebody
look
else.
up a lot of things with my low power.
Sorry.
But yeah, I don't recall
See
that.
if I can find it.
Yeah.
It's a race.
Search for belt.
That's what I'm doing.
Damn it.
Yeah, there's only one mention of belt.
Really?
Going by his belt. 1 out of 1.
All right, right on. It must have been something else I'd read yesterday then. That had something about to do with a belt hanging somebody.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, yeah, like I don't know, just like I read like reading, and this was like a comment I left like before finishing the story.
Yeah.
So this is just like speculation as well. And it was like I don't mind the fact that like Joe's just a creep and like his ghost haunts the place because he's a creep and he like killed himself there. But it would have made it a little bit more interesting. I think it might have made it a little bit more interesting, or just in a different way, that like it was a cover up from Jerry,
Just super mundane.
or like, and maybe his ghost is there, but like he's basically actually trying to get somebody to like reveal the truth, kind of like Stir of Echoes, which is about Kevin Bacon gaining psychic powers, like to see ghosts and stuff like that. And seeing this and being haunted by this ghost of a girl until he finds out that like the ghost actually isn't being evil. It's trying to like get him to find her body, which was because she was killed in there by the landlord.
Oh,
Of the Summers. Yeah, it was like something like that.
that is that's a nice way to put it.
Yeah,
Instead of the ghost just being boogity boogity boogity.
yeah, just being like a creep. Like give a little. I mean, Joe, as you read on, Joe really he's sympathetic, but also not, because he's like. He's definitely got some social and like personal issues.
But he's also being a dick about it.
Yeah, but it would give him a little bit more sympathy if the spirit's actually just like trying to like get the truth out that like how he died.
Yeah.
But like because he was a creep, the guy went down and killed him, or there's something else in there that killed him. And
Because Jerry did say like, if you creep on me one more time, I'm gonna take you out into the
parking
lot.
lot. Yeah, they're gonna have like a fist fight.
Yeah.
But yeah, like what if it escalated? Yeah, no, that's just what I mean. Like, it was at the time I was like, oh, that would be really cool if it was like this. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm fine with it being like this, but it would be cool if it like
It's cool, but it'd be interesting if it was like, oh, he's a murderer. Okay.
Yeah, it's like, all right, no, that I didn't see that coming. I'm like,
And then the three of them are locked in there.
Yeah.
And like they find out about it. But Narrative Man and Mike and the ghost are like, oh shit.
And then Jerry's like, Jerry's up in the at the back room, like,
Gets his gun out.
or like over the speakers. Would you like to play a game?
Yeah, indeed.
Just Jigsaw, Jerry the Jigsaw.
Yeah. Jigsaw Jerry.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, just some ideas that came up from that part when they were talking about like how he died and stuff.
Yes. That is a neat way to look at it.
Yeah. And then the next one is a rhyme, I said. Like what? Well, let me see if I remember, said Jerry. If you go to the top of the stairs, you're supposed to look down into the darkness without turning the lights on and say, Joe the creep who died in the deep, I come downstairs, so don't make a peep. Kid stuff, really, and I don't even remember who made it up. Somebody with a creative mind, I guess, I said. But hey, don't tell me you never tried the rhyme. Oh boy, this story is going the Bloody Mary route, and I can't see this going bad at all. And then, a few sentences down, update. And then they referenced the Bloody Mary thing.
Yeah.
Which is like, I don't know, just, again, like, it's just like adding a ritual into your story. It's like, or like the Bloody Mary, like, thing. And then, it's just like, in horror movies, like, that never goes bad. I've never not seen that go badly.
Yeah. Indeed.
So,
but did you feel like it shouldn't have been referenced?
No, not at all. It's really more just like I recognize the trope.
Yeah,
is really what it is. Just the trope recognition.
But did that ruin it for you, or
not
the fact that they like recognized Bloody Mary as a thing?
Yeah, it really didn't. No, it honestly didn't. Actually, in fact, it gave me a little. Again, the story I'll mention a little bit later, but it said like as I was reading this story, I kind of got the like they acknowledged. I liked the fact that they acknowledged the tropes they threw in the story and leaned into them a little bit. Mm-hmm. It wasn't really a bad thing or a good thing. It was just like something I recognized in the story. And then next one is, it turned to look in my direction and my flashlight beam caught it. Barely human features glared back at me. The intense fevered eyes of madness burned through me. A hissing sound rent the air. My feet came unglued from their spot, and I bolted down the row at top speed. The thing was barely moving, apparently expecting me to remain frozen in fear. I made it to the steps and locked the door once I had ascended. Up to this point, this story, and this is like, again, just me like acknowledging, like writing this at that point in the story. But up to this point in the story, it's presented very much in a grounded ghost story sort of way. And I applaud it for that. Like, it feels like a creepy on-the-job sighting or encounter. And the quote brought up, like that I just mentioned, that I just used, is exactly what would be done in this kind of scenario, given the atmosphere and the context leading up to this point. Like, it'd certainly be my response. Just nope the hell out of there. Like, again, I've had an instance where I'm working at like the super late shift at like 2 o'clock in the morning, just about to finish up, and I start hearing typing or like a computer just turns on its own in the office. I'm just like, and I'm done. Then I just walk out. I just leave.
Yeah.
Or, that's Mike. You can leave.
Mm-hmm.
Like it.
It's just an IT guy messing with you. He's got it so that the computer turns on.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, that's the kind of thing. Like, but I just like because I don't know that. Like, I'm still a little creeped out because I know that there have been like
You set up one of those like dippy birds on like a timer to start dipping.
No, it was full blown like it was yeah.
Set up 30 of them on the keys.
Again, like the air pressure in our building, like sometimes like opens the doors a crack, so it sounds like they open and close, but like you'll look over and the door is just closed.
You're talking about air pressure. It's ghosts.
Yeah, of course.
You've already said this.
Of course, yes. Yeah. Yes. Furthermore, I like that narrator character isn't the one. Oh, right.
That's what you call it.
Yeah, apparently my notes.
How many times have we referenced him as Spooky Steve
I like
and
that
Narrative Man?
Steve isn't the one who invoked the ghost monster in the story, or at least he saw the bait, took note of it, and while the creepiness of the story and the legend that was told to him, but that cliched urge to say the incantation wasn't there for him, and that it was somebody else, the other guy, that guy on the job, who was the dick and said the words, and now our narrator is actually just suffering the consequences. It felt a little bit stronger for the story than like if narrator guy had been like egged into saying it.
Yeah.
Like, because Mike is now the dick, is now the evil asshole.
Yeah, because
Weird
he's
Mike.
forced into the situation. Because if Mike just said, "Oh, make sure you don't say it, haha," and leaves,
Yeah.
there's every possibility that he's like, "I don't care, I'm not going to do it."
Exactly.
Then we have no
exactly.
story.
No, exactly. But like, yeah, and like,
But
otherwise, if he was to say it, it would be rather cliched because
Yes.
we've heard that 1,000 times in
Yeah.
stories. But to have Mike say it and then leave, be the dick, and just like, sorry, I'm scared. Like, I've done the creepy thing. Goodbye. And then like have our narrator guy, Spooky Steve, whatever you want to call him, have to suffer for the consequences because of what Mike did.
Yeah.
It feels a lot more natural in terms of character, like, because the character did not want to do it, but he's stuck dealing with the shit.
Yeah.
So yeah, I liked that part of the story. Again, the story felt rather grounded in terms of like a ghost story because it felt like a ghost story I've heard mentioned at work. It felt like a dozen stories of encounters at like offices and buildings and stuff like that people say they've encountered a ghost or something in their office buildings. I'm not saying that badly. I'm just saying like that actually like it grounds it more in a reality that I can familiarize with. And then my next one. Well, when we told you the story of Joe the Creep, you looked like a spooked. You looked a little spooked, and Mike came out and asked me if he'd help me pull a joke on you. It seemed harmless enough, so I agreed. Wait, I said. This whole thing's been a joke. I thought of the thing in the row next to me, of the journal that must have been planted for me to find, of the stench of something long dead. Like, I kind of enjoyed this little fake out. Like, 'twas all a joke. No, really, guys. Like, nice try, story. I know there's going to be a fake out to your fake out. And then my update. Yeah, there was. Like, when they said, like, it was like there was like, no, Jerry came, like, when Jerry showed up in the story, and it was like, no, it was all a joke. It's like, yeah, okay, they're old man winners. And then like, because I don't know, just like it seemed a little predictable in terms of like I knew that it was going to like leave off with like it wasn't just a joke. Like there was going to be something at the end of the story right after what I was reading that was going to make you suddenly question like that it wasn't a joke, and it just straight up tells you that it wasn't because they didn't make it into the building. So yeah, no. Again, like I wasn't pissed off at these tropes or cliches. It was just like I recognize them, much like the story recognizes them and acknowledges them in the story itself, and kind of leans into them a little bit to have fun.
Yeah, there's two ways it can go. It's either you do it in a way where it's not fun. It's like,
super.
okay.
It's like troll pasta or like a parody of a creepy story. And like sometimes, and when they're done poorly, they're like, okay, yeah, this is just like lazy writing. But this story like seems to like it felt to me, and he was reading it. It like it acknowledges these tropes that it's adding. And
it's
like
equivalent to either it being a bad movie or a good bad movie. Where it's like super campy, but it's super fun. Yeah. Or just a movie where they're trying really hard, but they're not good, so it's campy but terrible because they don't know what they're doing.
Or they're trying too hard to be like make these tropes serious.
Yeah.
When like it's I guess it's like I'm trying to think of like one that does it poorly. I can tell one that does well, which is like the Hatchet movies. Like the Hatchet movies are a modern slasher movie. Like basically they are made by people who were in the slasher genre back in the 80s and early 90s. And they are like, they revamp the slasher movies in that movie. Like they acknowledge the parody, like some of the satire to it, and they just have fun with it. I don't know, I can't remember, I'm sure, I know there are bad ones. There are ones that do it poorly, but I can't think of one.
Where they're just like, here's the tropes, let's make a scary movie.
Let's try and like, or Slender Man. Yeah, the Slender Man movie that just came out. Like they try so hard to use the tropes of horror movies like nowadays, thinking that that's what people want to see and what's going to be scary, and they treat it kind of seriously and not with enough. Like they played it. They tried to. It just feels like they're trying to play it safe by making the same cookie cutter horror movie.
Yeah.
Whereas again, a movie like the Hatchet series, where with Crowley. The axe murdering like hillbilly guy from the swamps of Louisiana, like it has Kane Hodder in it. It has a bunch of other movie actors and like filmmakers from the horror genre that like are like veterans, and they're all familiar with the horror genre and the slasher genre, and so they just want to make a fun like back to the roots slasher flick, back to basics slasher flick, but they like. So they use the tropes and they have fun with them. Whereas when movies like Slender Man just feel like a cop out or like a cookie cutter thing.
Yeah. I mean, without seeing Slender Man, but you've told me about it.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's my thoughts until we get to final thoughts. So.
Alright, so the first one I have here is a quote. It was like someone had let off 10 stink bombs right next to me. For me, 10 seems a little excessive, considering how potent one
like
stink bomb is.
But I mean, again, like, a corpse would be pretty, like gut-wrenchingly horrible to smell.
Yeah, but it wouldn't be 10, maybe 2 or 3 stink bombs max.
Fair.
Also, he could just be exaggerating in the situation.
Yeah, he is not shaking and like freaking out about it.
He's not trying to actually calculate. Okay, how many stink bombs would this smell like right now?
How much does a long dead corpse smell like? I would say maybe 5, 7, 10 stink bombs.
Yeah.
But yeah,
He gets like a controlled environment where he puts like a corpse in one canister and he just has a bunch of stink bombs in the other. It's like, okay, detonate stink bombs. Quickly smell. I now smell the corpse. Okay, take one away, and then they do another controlled test.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No, he's exaggerating.
Yeah, obviously, but yeah, no, it might be maybe a big word, but yeah, it's really just he's like freaking out and he's saying, but yeah.
Yeah.
Would you be happier if he said someone let off a handful of stink bombs?
Yeah.
Because
it would be vague enough that it could be 10 or it could be a couple, like only like 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would suffice.
Okay.
Or if it was like 10 instead of 10?
No.
Why?
Because it's still saying 10.
Yeah, but it's like 10. It's like kind of 10-ish. Or
We had
10-ish.
we had a compromise. A handful of stink bombs.
I know, but I'm trying to fix it with keeping the word in there as well.
No, it was fine with a handful.
I'm aware. I know that. I like that one, but I'm just saying.
Yes. Anyway, so after reading this and thinking about it, this is actually one of the saddest stories
We've ever done.
we've done. In,
Really?
well, Joe is just a misunderstood guy with mental illness.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, legit. That's one of the reasons why I think I liked the idea of him actually being murdered in the basement, and then being.
I like the idea of murdering this guy.
Rather
What's
than him being an asshole, rather than him being just them the story just kind of proposing him just being a creep and that's bad. Now he's a monstrous ghost thing in the basement kind of thing because he killed himself because he's bad and evil and creepy. I think it gives him a little bit more sympathy if he's killed in the basement because of his It hollers back to why Stir of Echoes was actually a little stronger for having the ghost be creepy and stuff like that as initially, and then as the movie went on, even when she was still creepy when you find out what happened to her because she's a ghost, but it's also a tragic story because she was different. Actually, she was also she had some mental handicaps. And these two kids basically bullied her and accidentally killed her in the landlord's was one of their dads.
Yeah.
Spoilers for Stir of Echoes. Seriously, go check it out. It's actually a really good movie.
They don't need to anymore.
Still go see it. I am butchering the plot of it, I'm sure. But that would be a lot stronger because it's not only a creepy story, it's a tragic story because of what happened to Joe. But
Also, it really sounds like he should not be working.
no, Joe has some problems.
Okay, this was...
It has definitely been affirmed in the story that he had some problems.
This was taking place in the 70s or 80s, though, so I guess it wouldn't be as...
And back then, a lot of people this kind of thing would the answer to he's weird, he must be we gotta punish him or deal with him.
No, I just mean nowadays, someone with that big of a problem probably wouldn't need to work. Or,
they get compensation.
Yeah, but back then it's you gotta get a job. You're weird, but you gotta get a job.
Yeah, no, exactly. You know? Yeah, and just
stop being weird, get a job. That's the kind of mentality it would be.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and that's that was the problem back then. Was we didn't really have an understanding of what needs to be happening, what should be done.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
So
Agreed.
anyway, just continuing on that thought process. So he gets angry and annoyed at the slightest things, which he writes down in his notebook.
Which seems like a
as
thing of the
drawing.
hit list.
But to me, that signifies his stress relief.
Yeah, it's basically a vent thing, so he doesn't snap.
Yeah.
It would look like to some. Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off.
That's fine, you do it. No, go ahead.
Okay, I just meant it would out of context again, with context and stuff like that. The girl we're seeing is oh god, and then going to talking to the HR and stuff, and the HR doesn't really know it because again 70s 80s, chastises him for it and so that, but because they don't realize that's how he otherwise he might build it up. It might build up in his head and he'll just snap one day. That's how we get things like that happen.
And then when he gets yelled at about it, and he's not allowed to write in his book anymore, he gets worse and worse and worse.
Yeah.
Because, you said that in the book, it shows someone get run over by a car. That's not actually what
I
it
can't
shows.
remember. Yeah, sorry.
It just kind of shows... I think the worst it gets is it shows the drawing of a face, and it looks like
there's blood
coming from that, but that's because it's being drawn in red pen.
Yeah. Well, no.
So
he said that it looked like on the bottom of the neck there was a blood or a red line.
Oh yeah, there was a line on another one where there was a hole in the neck or something. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
But again, that could be a person that just has what's the word for the thing where you smoke too much and you need that.
No, yeah, I know.
It could just be that situation.
No, it isn't, but I applaud your creativity.
Thanks.
I applaud your creativity in trying to come up with the reason for why it's not something like creepy or morbid, but no. I put my foot down. I'm sorry.
All right.
But it's again it's psychologically it would probably be a good venting tool for the guy.
And like Gabriello there is sort of a switch that happens, where when he accidentally leaves his notebook in the elevator, and Sue gets it, and then basically he has a change of personality because instead of other people making the mistakes, he made one.
Yeah.
So now
he's like constantly mad at himself.
And that's why he committed suicide, probably. Because again, it was building up inside of him rather than snap on externally. He snapped internally.
And that was building up inside him, and then he got fired,
which adds on to stress. Like anybody gets fired, like they're stressed to that. Yeah. So really, it is actually a really damn it. It really is a sad story.
Not really sad.
Like legitimately, even without like the whole like he wasn't actually committed suicide, he was murdered and like it was coming up. No, even like with him being like suicide, he's still that's still like a vengeful or he's still a tragic spirit. Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Because he really didn't do anything wrong.
No, he stared. He just did what he did in life. He stared at the guy and was like moving forward, and he didn't expect the guy to run. Like it even mentions like the ghost did nothing.
No,
the ghost stares and hisses and like is
that's the worst he did in life. Yeah. Was he hissed at someone who stared at him,
who saw him like staring behind the camera.
Yeah, like for all we know, like his mother could be like, "Oh, you should get a job as a security guard. You like staring at people, so you're just watching everything all the time. It'd be good for you."
Yeah.
Damn it.
Also, they may have taken his notebook away. Like that's
why
he went into the basement, but he couldn't find it,
and
so he freaked out.
And again, just
that extra.
Yeah. The needle that broke the camel's back.
Yeah.
The straw.
Needle, straw, it's the same.
Needle and haystack.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Straw that broke the camel's back. It's a reference to... No, you're wrong. It's a reference to, you have a camel, and you're stacking straw on its back, and then at one point you put one piece of straw on it, and it breaks the camel's back, because it's a point of loading something up to its breaking
that analogy for a second. Like, is the straw in a bag, in a sack on the camel's back? Because, like, otherwise it's just going to fall off to the sides.
It's straw that's bound together into squares, and then you're stacking them up on the camel, and then there's a point where, like, okay, that's probably the breaking point. I'll take one piece of straw, whoop, 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 and it lands on it. It's like, ah!
Okay, fair. I will concede that.
All right.
Yeah. Anyway, exactly like what we were saying. Yeah, it really is kind of just a sad, like, he like, the story does, like, by reading through between the lines, as well as the lines themselves.
Yes.
You can actually kind of infer, like, what actually happened, like, how his mental process, like, went, and how, like, it is a tragedy what happened to him, because he basically just got so stressed that he didn't see a way out except for ending it.
Yeah.
And now he's this horrible ghost creature that's bound to the basement, I guess, because
with these people constantly making fun of him as well.
Yeah, with the story,
makes it so much worse.
He's been existing down there like for years,
just listening to these guys chastise him still.
Hearing these people like talk about it,
yeah.
And he's stuck as a ghost, just looking for his notebook.
He was,
but it's right there.
Oh, I know.
But it's on the top shelf, and he's not too tall.
It's actually really tragic because, like, had our security guard stayed there and glued in fear, giving them enough the thing enough the
probably just would
enough time to he would have like asked him to hand him the book, and then he would have been able to leave. But no,
I mean, if he's a zombie, he may not be able to talk. He might just walk up, take the book, just kind of like hug it, turn around, and leave.
Yeah, but
that would be really creepy,
but also really sad. It's like Mama. It would literally be like Mama. Have you ever seen that movie?
No.
Again, audience, check out Mama. Mama.
Spoilers for Mama.
Spoilers for Mama now. So Mama is basically similar situation in terms of the ghost side of it, because she's basically a woman who this mentally handicapped woman who her child was taken away from her in the institute, and then she committed suicide by jumping off a cliff with her. Or no, she had a miscarriage of her baby, but she took the baby's body and herself, and she ran out of the institution and jumped off a cliff. And so
you're just trying to ruin my day, aren't you?
So her spirit, but her spirit is has been haunting the woods around that place. And when these two kids are there, it basically gets attached to the youngest kid, and she's a really creepy ghost. Like they really do a good job like making her creepy, visually creepy and stuff. But at the same time, by the end of the movie, you're also really like sad for her because she is just a mother mourning her child and wants her child, and the little girl is an orphan who wants a mom.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so it's actually, again, recommend seeing that movie. It's pretty good, but it's one of those movies that is a horror tragedy story, like it's a horror drama.
It's like you don't need to make your monster hostile for them to be extremely creepy.
Yeah,
like in this situation, if he just showed up, didn't say a damn thing, walked into the light. In this situation, I'd be totally fine with him being completely described. Yeah. With narrative man just standing there, and he just takes the book. Just
and goes away,
and just turns around in the darkness, and he's gone.
Or just melts away as he is basically like moved on. He passed. He's
just Infinity War's away.
Yeah. Too
spoilers for Infinity War.
Too soon, man.
I haven't even seen that movie.
Yeah, we've seen all the memes. I don't feel so good.
I mean, I don't watch memes. Well, I don't know what a meme is.
Okay.
Too old. Yeah. I'm Jerry. I'm the Jerry one. That means you're Mike. Yeah, that works.
Yeah, that's literally it. Yeah, I'm Spooky Steve apparently. Yeah, because I'm the one who's experienced weird office built encounters.
Yep.
Anyway, sorry, we have totally taken.
What were you talking about?
The tragedy of the story.
Oh yeah.
So I thought of that and just how sad the story actually is, and then I read the comments, and
Did they not
based
get it?
on the writer. I'm completely wrong.
Oh, really?
What do you mean you're wrong? You're not wrong. We all agree.
The Notebook is what he plans to do to people. So he has actually...
So the author made the monster non-sympathetic.
Yeah.
No, so made him a two-dimensional monster.
Yeah.
The author said that in the comments?
Yep.
Oh.
That's a shame.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
technically, death of the author and stuff like that, which is a phrase that basically the author doesn't know what they're writing, or doesn't have once the story's out there, the writer doesn't have full control of what people think what the story means and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I also don't entirely subscribe to that. But I kind of I believe our opinion what would I believe our ideas for the story, what we think of the story because we've read it. Because I didn't read the comments, so I didn't know that.
Yes,
but I find that a lot more interesting than him just being a two-dimensional character, monster. The author made,
and that's totally fine if the author wants him to be that. But because he's not outright said in the story, that's what he is.
After the fact, it's like voice of God, basically. But that's out of story. In story. In my headcanon, it's going to be that he was a tragic character.
Yeah, me too.
I'm not going to. I really don't want to subscribe to the fact that he's just creepy.
There's too many monsters out there that just want to kill people.
Yeah, and this character is actually a lot more layered, unintentionally apparently, than what the author had intended.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I'll respect what the author the author's what his plans were for the creature and some of that, but I won't subscribe to it.
Yeah.
In terms of my headcanon for the story.
Mm-hmm. It just seems pretty cool.
Yeah. That's actually kind of... That's,
I can see him getting...
I don't want to say that's disappointing, but to me personally, that was kind of disappointing to hear.
Honestly.
It's about as sad as the story.
It's about as sad as the story.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. Because I like Joe.
Yeah.
I feel like in his passing, he can now get a job with maybe the SNTF doing something.
Had to bring it up.
Yeah, because that'd be cool. Because he's a cool guy. Yeah.
Fair enough.
He's the sketch artist.
He's just mumbling. He's like, can you please describe, please? What was his hair like? What was his eyes like?
Oh, this is picking up on the recording.
I really hope it is too. Sorry. Could you please describe how big were his ears? Thank you. And what was his face figure like? Okay, thanks. Just writing it down, or drawing it up.
He's really nice about it.
Yeah. Well, he's being very awkward and nice about it. Yeah. Anyway, that's not the story. We've
yes, it is.
We've deviated even further. Continue.
And that's it for my actual thought.
Okay, cool. As long as we're still talking about Joe, we're not deviated at all.
No, just we Your thoughts, Gamer and Yellow.
Oh, yeah, right. I only have a few. One I added while we were here, and one that's been taken care of already. So, my first one then is at the ending. So the ending after Narrative Man is being told by Jerry. Actually, before I get there, as soon as I saw Jerry, I wasn't sure if it was Jerry or a different way to write Gary.
I honestly, until I actually started like reading his name in my notes, I'm pretty sure it was Jerry or something like that in my head.
It's like Jerry Seinfeld, that kind of Jerry.
I understand.
Just with the G.
Which is a way to say it, because like George.
You mean Georgi?
Yeah, or Georg.
Or Georg.
Georg Martin.
Oh, yeah, okay.
God.
Man, I've never seen it spelled that way.
Yeah, no,
so it equally looks like Gary.
Yeah.
No, it could go. I guess it could. It honestly could go either way. Depends on whose name it is, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like someone named like that, they can call themselves Gary or Jerry.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyways,
English language is so fucked up.
Yeah, it really is. But anyways, moving on.
Yep.
So after Narrowman is being told by Jerry that they plan to prank him and all that, so he claims that they were trying to get in the back door.
Yeah, but
the lock was broken, so they couldn't. For all we know, that's just a lie. And they actually did set up the prank in the basement, and now it's completely mundane.
It goes completely mundane. Yeah, no, legit. Like, it's just, but like again, like
what's saying that he's not lying right now?
And aren't they supposed to check the locks on their rounds?
Yeah.
Well, I kind of got the fact that it wasn't actually that it was locked. It was that something supernatural was keeping it closed or keeping it locked. Like it wasn't unlocked. Like they were trying to unlock it, but it wasn't working.
Oh, because he was summoned. Like all the exterior locks are fucked.
Yeah, exactly.
Until someone deals with him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If that's part of the creature, yeah, why not?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But again,
I didn't like. It was just like something that came to mind. Like, oh, I wonder if like that was also Joe. Like Joe's doing. Like he kept them from coming in.
Yeah, I never thought of that. Because that would be weird that just all of a sudden the lock is broken. That's why as soon as he said, I'm like, really? I feel like you might be lying right now. And they just did prank him.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So we all kind of had like, we also says like, it's like, yeah, sure, story. You're really gonna throw this fake out story, or like, and we just had different ideas about it. Like it's like me, I was like, yeah, sure, yeah, we're totally not gonna have like a thing at the, we're totally not gonna have the spinning top at the end. It's like, is it a dream or is it not? Is it actually a ghost or is it just a Scooby Doo thing where like it was all a prank?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Mm-hmm. And also, like, their plan, anyways, in general, their plan was to break in and then spook him while he's doing his
basically,
rounds.
like, probably wait till he gets out to the basement. And,
I was going to say, like, the whole idea of Joe the Creep is that he's in the basement, so unless they plan to wait behind the door and spook him
that's
or
what I
something.
figured they would probably have done.
But the way it was described, it almost seemed like Narrative Man just walking around, like, do, and all of a sudden, booga, 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 ah!
Well, that's the thing. He
shoots with a gun.
The story's vague enough that, like, it doesn't... the story, the what they tell you is vague enough that you can come up with your own, like reasoning. You can come up with your own, like, visual of, like, how they were going to try and scare him.
Yeah. In some stories, it's so vague that I have no image of anything.
Yeah.
In this story, it's slightly vague, so I don't mind it, because I still had a very good visual throughout the entire story.
I'm not gonna lie, when I finished, like, my notes and stuff like that, I almost put in my notes, like, some things about, like, how the story wasn't so much about Joe as it was about, like, about that whole, like, instance of, like, being spooked in an office building and stuff like that. And, like, that kind of, like, narrative of, like, again, like, that's, like, seeing some, like, getting spooked by something because of a story that was told to you and, like, your mind, like, going on and stuff like that.
Your mind just fabricating things.
Because I was expecting you guys to, like, I thought the story needed to, like, explain Joe the Creep more and stuff like that. I don't know why. It just, like, I kind of, like, as soon as I was finished, like, I'm going to have to explain why this isn't, like why the story is actually good for not explaining too much about the monster.
Generally speaking, I tend to be like, you're not explaining the monster enough, or, like, you're not showing the monster enough, so I can't be scared by it, but when the atmosphere is good enough, you don't need to.
Also, and actually, where he's like, well, you don't show the monster enough. That is one of the things about horror stories. What I was going to counter with is that
that's what ruins Slender Man.
Exactly. In a horror story, there are two rules in horror stories, really, if you want to make a good horror story or a good horror movie or visual thing. Show, don't tell.
Yeah.
And less is more.
Yes. Because
the less you see of the monster, the more creepy, the more scary it is in your head. Because again, I've watched a lot of really bad horror movies of late. where they just love to show the monster in full glory, and it almost becomes an epic thing. And it was like,
and he's like dancing awkwardly behind fire.
Exactly, yeah. It's like, this isn't scary. This is like
comical
Hogwarts bullshit. Like this again, like the thing with it, like the reason why it really wasn't scary at the end, especially like I felt like the whole conversation with Pennywise the clown at the end when they're like he's like transforming partially into like their greatest fears. It felt more like a fight scene in like
a video game or something.
Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. Like when they get down into the Chamber of Secrets and they're fighting the basilisk. It felt like, or like when they're fighting the giant spider or something in the woods. Like it felt more like that kind of a spooky thing. Like the setting is supposed to be like dark and spooky and some of that, but it's more of a harrowing like kind of like epic fight than an actual scary like run for your life now like kind of thing, or like hide your eyes because you don't want to see what the thing actually looks like. Or
that never happened.
No, but again with this story, like we don't really see Joe, but it's good because like he's just, we hear what he is, we smell him, we get a bunch of like other descriptors, not just visual, like not that don't really need to have a visual to them.
I will counter with one thing, though.
Sure.
In the situation that Joe is we know he's a tragic character, but if he's actually a tragic character in the story, and Narrative Man's frozen, and then there's, like, an entire paragraph of just seeing the eyes, like, moving towards him and, like, slowly exposing, and then fully exposing Joe as he walks towards him and grabs the book and leaves.
Case,
I would be fine with that. Because he's not just showing up to be scary and kill him.
Yes. It's actually, that means the story is actually changed from being, like, it's still creepy and spooky, but it's also added this flavor of tragedy.
Yeah.
It's like, you have some sympathy for the monster.
Mm-hmm. Which you have, like, more interest in it than just pure fear, or like, oh no, I'm gonna die.
Yeah, you get that more, again, you get, like, there's an extra layer of depth to the story at that point.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's not just trying to scare you, it's trying to make you empathize with the monster, with the horrific monster.
Mm-hmm.
Because
it's less
not
of
just
a scary pasta and more of a creepy pasta.
Yeah.
Which I'm down for.
Mm-hmm.
But moving on to my last note.
Yep.
In regards to the rhyme, what made it that some random person can make up a rhyme about a guy that tragically killed himself in the basement, and then that spirit ties itself to the rhyme to the point that it manifests him?
Dude, that's Ghost Story 101.
I know, but when you think about it...
It's urban legends, man. Like, Mary, why do we have Bloody Mary? Because the Blood Countess, Elizabeth... I think, no, not Blood. Because there was a... Actually, I think... I'm really...
You're butchering this because you're not saying a damn word yet.
I remember... I vaguely recall, like, Bloody Mary was an actual, like, countess or duchess in England. Mm-hmm. And she was a bloody duchess. Like, she, like, massacred like a bunch of
servants. She's a Jack the Ripper.
Yeah, well, kind of like, yeah. She was either like, again, somebody correct me on.
Someone stop it, please, right now.
Stop me before I flub again.
Comment quickly.
Do it now. No, it's similar. Like they like were a bloody duchess or countess in England because they like butchered like some people.
Yeah,
and so like the rhyme came out of that. Out of like from like the darker time or like that, like the aftermath of that, and then again it evolved into a ghost story because because after she died, like it's like if you say her name 3 times in the mirror, she'll appear and kill you, kind of thing.
Yeah, it is really weird how that just happens to tie to that. You know?
Yeah, it's the evolution of spooky stories and urban legends. Like it's like why does an office building that used to be a Home Depot, have suddenly have an urban legend, a ghost story where like somebody died at the Home Depot and now they haunt the office.
Well, okay,
it may or may not be a job I've worked.
Okay, I was gonna say that sounds really specific.
May or may not be a job occupation or like a job site I've worked at.
Yeah,
but like that was told to me that may or may not have been told to me the first couple of weeks or months I started the job.
Yeah, okay, I understand that a ghost would just be haunting there and he just haunts. That's what he do.
Yeah.
But the fact that someone later on came up with a rhyme and then the ghost heard it is like, you know what? I like that. I'm gonna only show up when someone says that. Well, like also, they make that distinction.
Again, another tie to it is that like when you say something's name, it has power. So like, and it's an invocation. Like it's not.
Oh, you're grabbing his attention by saying his name.
Exactly. Yeah, and like it's a supernatural thing. Like they don't know how to be like they could be slumbering, like their soul could be slumbering, or like they could be in another like another like hell or some limbo or something like that, and but you pull them in by calling them down.
Yeah,
It's like
because
trying-
actually,
it's like-
in life, he was like not happy that people were talking about him.
Yeah, and so like for this story in particular,
Like,
yeah,
if someone talks about him, it grabs his attention.
exactly, yeah,
So, like, if the word Joe the Creep was taken out of the rhyme, it would do nothing.
yeah.
Yeah, I'd be okay with that.
But because his name is there, and like it's like the rhyme has become an incantation to summon him.
Yeah, but you could.
Same as like Bloody Mary or like any kind of like any other kind of like creepy nursery rhyme in any horror story. Like it's an invocation.
Yeah, but at that point, you
Invocation.
could just literally say Joe the Creep and then walk downstairs and the same thing happens.
Yeah.
Because his name is what draws his attention.
Yeah, if you were to say Joe the Creep like every
Just
time,
once.
or
There's no specific random order.
I'd say like sometimes like by adding a set of instructions, or adding like some like a little bit more like not just like Joe the Creep at the top of the stairs. Like that could work obviously, but it's not as interesting as like what if you say Joe the Creep halfway down the stairs, Joe the Creep, the foot at the bottom step, Joe the Creep.
Oh, I know. That's for storytelling, make it
Yeah,
more dramatic.
exactly, yeah.
I'm thinking of realistic situations.
But again, like, you
where
say
you're a ghost and you're trying to rest, and then some guy says your name and it draws your attention and wakes
Yeah.
you up. So then he has your attention just by saying his name. Doesn't matter what you say before or after. If you're holding a candle, that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
That just spooks him out more.
Yeah, exactly. It just spooks the person out more, or like the readers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's again like also like that happens in real life. Like we again like urban legends and stuff like that always have like weird rhymes and stuff.
Oh,
like
I know. They're just there for dramatic flavor,
Yeah.
though they're not.
that. And some of them are made specifically to scare like little children and stuff like that too, or like people. Like the Pumpkinhead series started off from a nursery rhyme that he overheard some hillbilly kids say when he was like trekking through like the filmmaker heard while trekking through Pennsylvania or like the Appalachians. Mm-hmm. And it was like basically, and like that's how the movie got like the film, like how the script and some of that was like basically based around that narrative, like that rhyme.
Yeah.
And that's why it's in the movie. Like when the hillbilly kids are like one of the characters he overhears some hillbilly kids at the town telling the kid who did something bad, like, Pumpkinhead's gonna come for your head, kind of thing. Or I'm butchering that, but it's the same kind of thing. Like, and it scares the kid and it scares the characters. And like again, like if you were to like just be passing by and hear that, like some kids like doing that to some other kid, like that's fucking terrifying.
Indeed, it is. I was just thinking of the realistic aspect, that's all.
Yeah, no, and again, I'm countering with the fact that like that does happen in real life.
Yeah. But on the same sort of vein as that, Joe's whole thing is that when someone pisses him off, he makes a
He
note.
writes a note, yeah.
And whether or not that's him venting or that's him making a kill list.
Yep.
I'm kind of surprised that in the story they didn't make it so, like, when they joke about him, there's, like, odd things happening, like monitors turning on and random
Or
typing
writing
shit.
on the walls.
Or anything, yeah.
Like Mike said, like Mike did the rhyme like in a mocking way in red on
Yeah.
the wall, like down the stairs,
Yeah.
or something like that. Like it was like, and it just has like an image of like of like a sketch of like the character like falling down the stairs or something like that.
Yeah. Because it seems like his whole thing is that he is upset at people that are wronging him.
Yeah, exactly.
So like these characters wronging him throughout the story, except for Narrative Man, actually, I'm surprised that he isn't just trying to get at them the whole time because of all the jokes that they're putting out at his expense.
Yeah, but it's,
Like that's not his trigger.
Mm-hmm.
His trigger is this rhyme.
Yeah, well, it's just again like it's part of the narrative, like part of the ritual to it.
Oh,
like
I'm aware. I'm aware that's what it is.
I know,
I'm just saying the character himself. It seems like his trigger would be people talking ill about him.
Yeah, but
That would be a more realistic
Yeah.
trigger to the actual character's mind and what he
if
was
he
in
was
life.
alive though. But like supernatural shit is really
Yeah, that's
finicky
fair.
too.
That's
So
fair.
like again, he might be like whatever, I'm dead, and then like somebody does the rhyme like no,
Yeah.
how dare you?
I'm essentially just thinking of a different way
Oh,
to
yeah.
do the incantation to make it
To
tiring.
trigger to someone, yeah, and to make him like make it a little bit more. Like, but yeah,
Yeah.
okay,
And that's pretty much all I got to say.
okay.
So, final thoughts.
Final thoughts, yeah. So I'm gonna start off my final thought with the last line of the story. Silently, I handed him my security card and walked out for the last time. Honestly, this was a fun story. A fun, short ghost story. Grounded in the reality of a creepy job-related, like, legend or tale that somebody would tell you at a job site like this. I thoroughly enjoyed it, honestly. It has a few tropes, but also acknowledges and leans into them, because that's generally how job-based ghost tales kind of go. Also, to have it be heavily implied that there was something actually supernatural at play by the end was awesome. Because again, like, they could have just gone, it's like, yeah, it was all a joke, like, I should do it. But then they, like, at the end, they, like, leave out, like, we never made it inside the house, like, we never made it into the building. The phone call was coming from inside the house, kind of like, thing. Yeah, it's like that, like, little twist at the end, like, that revelation that they were going to play a joke on him. But then it never, like, but they weren't able to get in because for some reason the back door was locked, so that the encounter down in the basement might have been more real than he thought.
Yeah.
Was pretty cool. I really enjoyed that. So I recommend All Clear, as it were. So, Mike, these things for you?
I partially recommend it.
Okay.
It was entertaining, but then it just hit you right in the feels, and it's just so sad.
So that's why you're not giving it a full recommendation, because you're too sad?
Yep.
Because by the end of the story, he's not happy, so he didn't enjoy it.
Oh. Okay. I would have felt that make it stronger, but making a stronger narrative.
But if it was a bad story that made him sad, that'd be no.
Yeah, no, but like this.
But it's a good story that made him sad.
So partial recommendation. Okay.
Well, for me, I'm gonna recommend it as well, but I still, like, at least personally, this is, again, my own personal opinion, because we all have them. For me, it would be absolutely perfect if his summoning was people speaking ill of him, and then, like, they find out that over a few weeks or whatever, that the number of times that they make fun of him, that's the number of supernatural instances that happen over the night.
Oh, okay, so like...
And then it escalates, and then they find the shit in the basement behind, like, a bookcase or something where he's writing everything, like where the ghost is.
Addition to that.
And then in that story, he's actually the tragic one.
Yeah.
And then they take the book away from him, and then things get way worse, and he starts coming after them, and then by the end, they're trapped in some sort of situation, they're cornered with a ghost coming towards them, and he literally just walks forward, takes the book, and leaves.
Yeah, that's a completely different story.
Oh, I know. I'm saying, like, I would have liked that change.
Yeah.
Personally, but I still liked the story.
In addition, I think to that, like, not to, like, to make it so it doesn't deviate too far from the story we have at hand, but that would, like, maybe make it better for you. Maybe have, like, Joe the Creep, like, he's mentioned and some of that, and have that, like, he's mentioned because he's also, because he keeps getting mentioned, he starts doing supernatural things around the, like, just, like, weird, like one-off minor things like that, like, minor sightings or minor activity in the throughout the building. But it's because, and then we find out it's because, like, people have been talking about him, and he doesn't like that. And then have the big thing happen, like him, like, actually be invoked in the basement and so that because somebody invoked him at that stupid rhyme at the top of the stairs, like, mocking him.
Yeah, cold.
And like, and so, like, when they find the book, like, he's, like, going through the pages and he sees Mike, or starts seeing, like writing about them, like, talking about him, like, and, like, he didn't like that. And
with, like, dates and shit.
And the last one is the one that, like, right at the stairs, like, Mike was mocking me with that stupid goddamn rhyme.
Yeah.
And then just shows, like a drawing of him, of Mike falling down the stairs or something like that. And then, like,
then as he tries to run away, he's at the top of the stairs, which scares him and he falls down the stairs.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I like that kind of thing. Like, add on to that maybe, but would that make it better? Like, if it was like there was some paranoid,
yes and no.
Okay,
it would make him better if he is going to be a hostile creature. But I really like him being a sympathetic creature.
That's fair.
Because there's way too many creatures out there that are like, I'm evil, I'm going to kill you, mwahaha.
Yeah,
you know, because of his backstory is so tragic.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to see it.
I really feel you'd like the movie Mama.
It sounds like it, yeah.
Because it's very much it's one of those stories that is both a creepy, like, horror story or horror movie but is also a sad horror movie.
Yeah, because like I get on the side of the
monster.
The monster. It's like when watching a Jason movie. It's like, yeah, I don't hate that he's doing this.
I mean, yeah, the reason why he's there is because he was. Well, I mean, he's not a good guy, but he's definitely a sympathetic character who knows his backstory.
Yeah.
Okay, so recommendation-ish, and then partial recommendation.
Well, I recommend it. Okay. I still like the story a lot. I'm just saying, like, that would make it absolutely perfect for me.
Yeah, if you were to rewrite, or you were to write your own story similar to this, you'd do it like that.
Yeah, I guess. It's just that would make it perfect.
Yeah.
It's like 95% perfect for me.
Fair enough.
All right.
95% perfect.
Yeah. 60% of the
It
time.
works every time. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, so this was this week's episode of El Dente Rigamortis. Hope if you like what you heard, if you didn't, leave us a comment in the comment section below where this gets posted, whether it be on Kiwi6, Facebook, YouTube, or Tumblr. We're on iTunes, so leave us a rating and review, or any other streaming site that has a review and rating system. Let us know how we're doing. You can check out. You can contact us on Twitter at Mikey is at the East Ends for Evil. I'm at Review Cultist. The Gamer in Yellow is at Gamer in Yellow on Xbox Live. And see, it sounds like I always want to say like without the W because I'm too used to that.
I know.
You can also send us emails at aldenterigamortis@gmail.com. That's ALDENTERIGAMORTIS@gmail.com. Where you can also leave us suggestions for other creepypastas you'd like us to discuss on the show. Also, if you'd like to check out the title cards for each episode, you can go to crazonstudios.tumblr.com, crazon.deviantart.com, or our YouTube channel, where we have the movies, where we have the videos of each episode.
It still sounds like we're doing visual stuff, but we're not.
Where you check out God damn it, now you like maybe fuck up. Where you can check out the videos of each episode. And if you'd like to help support the show, you can go to Patreon. Look up Al Dente Rigamortis on Patreon and support or choose the.
There you go. Good morning.
Ow!
How's it feel? Good, right?
Yeah. And if you'd like to help support the show, you can go to Patreon, look up Al Dente Rigamortis, and select the backer tier you'd like to support us at. We have early access episodes, special episodes, behind the scenes stuff. Special episodes include
Al Dente Reloaded at the $5 tier, where Mikey and I go back to the good, the bad, and the old. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Trying to make a random gun-related reference. Pauses that the cultist and the doctor did in the past, and see what our thoughts are on them without hearing without hearing their thoughts on the matter. And then Al Dente Revelations at the $2 tier, where Mikey and I, again, continue our thoughts from what we said in Reloaded by listening to the old episodes of Al Dente Rigamortis and see what how their thoughts differ from ours and possibly have a mind-breaking revelation while doing so.
All right. We also have some other special episodes that we have on the $2 tier, I believe, is Al Dente Real Talk, where we discuss movies that are either based off of creepypastas or like we feel have inklings to like to creepypasta and like that kind of horror.
You could technically do any horror movie then, couldn't you?
I mean, we could. Like, I generally look for ones that like I feel like have a stronger connection to like a creepypasta kind of thing, like or creepypasta tropes and like those kind of like themes. Generally, like the ones like Truth or Dare or like The Tall Man, because The Tall Man is like kind of, if it's not the progenitor or like the grandfather of like how Slender Man got created, it's really damn close.
Yeah.
Or also we have a few actual play episodes of us like basically playing tabletop games using creepypasta-esque ideas, creatures, and themes. So you can check that out. But yeah, any little bit helps, and we thank you for your patronage. And for our patrons who are already helping support the show, thank you immensely, because you're helping keep those hosting bills at bay, and we very much appreciate that. And to the listeners and authors of the creepypastas that we discuss on the show, thank you as well for your listenership and for the stories that we've been reading for the last 4 or 5 years, and the entertainment that you've been providing. Thank you. So until next time, I've been your host, Review Cultist.
I'm Mikey, the E stands for evil.
And I'm the Gamer in Yellow.
And this has been Al Dente Rigamortis. Sleep well.